What happens if you combine Minecraft, Spore, and Populous? Either a grouping of 3 games that seems a bit baffling to my viewers, or Happy Birthdays for the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that seeks to explore the processes of evolution over millions of years, and how creatures will adapt to their environments based off of changing climate conditions over millions of years. Full disclosure here, this game was sent to me by NIS America, who published it. Both myself and my guest reviewer, who's coming along with me today, were sent copies of this game, and we like to pride ourselves on being fair and balanced with our reviews. That's not to say that I haven't been interested in this game for a while beforehand. I've actually been following this game as close as I possibly could. I was extremely interested in it, especially since I hadn't really heard of many console godsends, or at least any that actually looked pretty good. I guess you could say that this was a title that from the get-go piqued my curiosity.
Ah, yes, curiosity towards a game that takes place on a cuboid planet, a Curiosity Cube, if you will. Though, unlike the real Curiosity Cube, this one was, thankfully, not a scam.
Thus, come along for today's review as I, along with my friend the Golden Bolt, review Happy Birthdays for the Nintendo Switch and decide if it's right for you.
Welcome to Stuff We Play, where if today it's your birthday, boy do we have the game for you. And yeah, subscribe and whatnot.
So right from the get-go, what's up with that name? Happy Birthdays? I get it. You know, every time you birth a new creature, it's their birthday, but what am I supposed to get if I see this on the shelf? What am I supposed to infer from that? It's a title I had no idea what to make of.
Though the name makes sense, it's definitely not what I would have chosen. But fitting title or not, what matters most here is the game itself.
Happy Birthdays begins with a crazy intro involving creatures flying through space. I'll be honest, this gives no real clues to what the game is about either, but it's so vibrant and crazy that I couldn't help be drawn into the game from the second I booted it up.
Upon reaching the main menu, you're presented with a few options. You can start a new game, fool around in the options menu, enter a free play mode, or even tackle a few of the game's challenge maps. If you dive into a new game, you're presented with a rather odd story, where you stumble upon a cave in the middle of a forest and are transported to a new universe where you seemingly have godlike abilities.
It is here that you meet Navi.
Hey, listen!
No, not that, Navi, damn it!
Navi is a little fairy-like creature who's the god of this planet, and they admit to you outright that they're a pretty crappy god and need help turning this primordial cube world into something where a wide variety of creatures can thrive and eventually even be a cradle of its own modern human civilization. After billions of years of no success, they decided why not have an actual human come in and try to birth human civilization themselves. And thus you're set free on this tiny cuboid world to try to make it habitable to a wide variety of creatures by controlling both the climate and the terrain.
Climate control here is achieved by modifying the terrain. As you add more water and deeper areas of water, the temperature will go up. If you raise the land and even create mountains, the temperature will naturally decrease. Thus, you have to maintain a balancing act to meet certain conditions for certain types of plants and animals to thrive. As you do more stuff, have more time pass, and have more creatures populating your world, you will level up as a god. This in turn allows you to gain new powers, such as the ability to cause global warming or global cooling at the snap of your fingers, create a huge mountain or valley with the push of a button, or even place monuments, which don't really do anything, but they add a little bit of flavor to your world.
Also during the game, as you gain new creatures and plants, you can capture them to add to your encyclopedia.
Think of it like a Pokédex, but with real animals.
It sounds quite simple on paper, but there's a lot of complexity here. Literally. The control scheme is honestly a little confusing and took a bit of time for me to get used to. You raise and lower the terrain by pressing the R and ZR buttons. The face buttons are mapped to various menus, such as the species list and even a special skills menu, and the Z button allows you to zoom around your planet, which comes particularly helpful when the size of your planet is increased in the main campaign, or if you're playing on a larger free play map. You can also press in the left thumbstick to enter a first person mode, which is especially helpful for when you're trying to capture new specimens for the Encyclopedia Pokédex thing.
The control scheme and user interface honestly bogged down the experience initially. Yes, we both eventually got used to it, and sure, some PC God Sims may have more complex controls, but with the overall more kid-friendly vibe being given off here, and on the Nintendo Switch of all systems, you would think that the developers would have tried to streamline things a little bit more. This game has menus within menus within other menus. And that species list that I mentioned earlier may seem convenient at first until you realize that even when you're in the full options menu, it will only take up a third of your screen at most. Even if you can zoom in or out in that options menu, that's not enough space for me to see what I want to see on this massive tree of life.
Also of note here is as you perform actions such as raising and lowering the land, you use up HP. The amount of HP raises as you level up, but early on it depletes rather quickly. Once it depletes, you press the X button to go into an overview mode, where you watch time go past and the world evolve as your HP regenerates. Also here though, you can spend a few HP to actually accelerate time for a bit.
Admittedly, I wasn't huge on this concept, as it seemed to break the pace for me at first. Whenever I had to stop to let XP regenerate and watch my world go on without me, I would have much rather been down there still holding that world in my hands. Plus, watching my world fast forward made me realize that no matter how complex the game may seem to be, it will actually play itself in the story mode if you let it do so.
I personally found something nice in watching my hard work lead to the world itself progress without me, especially when I used HP to speed up time. I did my work, and for a bit at least, before going back and further altering things so I could have certain organisms come to life and others go extinct, it was cool to see the world itself change as hundreds of thousands of years went by in a matter of minutes.
Switching gears and looking at the visuals, they're definitely not mind-blowing. Serviceable, yes, but not incredible.
There's definitely something charming about the simple cube-based designs here and the cartooniness of all the animals. However, while the game looks decent in docked mode, I think it actually looks really nice and sharp in handheld mode.
What's not cute here though is the pop-in and the frame rate, especially when in first-person mode or if you're holding L to zoom around in your world. A lot of the features just seem to, well, pop in, and it's honestly rather jarring. I find it unacceptable to see something like that in a modern game, and I hope it gets patched out at some point. Thankfully though, these only occur in those mentioned occasions, and usually the game runs smoothly without any bugs or issues. Well, save for the learning curve with the controls, of course.
Sound here is also pretty good. Not particularly memorable, but certainly serviceable. Granted, oftentimes I was so engrossed in the gameplay itself that perhaps I just wasn't noticing it. Despite the learning curve of the controls, once you get used to them, I think you'll be happily creating a world that is to your own liking.
Is it just me though, or is it weird how your encyclopedia has to be refilled from scratch every single time you start a new map?
It's something I understand for the sake of the campaign, but I wish that organisms would carry over between different free play and challenge maps.
Although you can replay the story here using a variety of different template worlds, the story itself only lasts a couple hours. From there you only have the challenge maps or the free play mode to keep you occupied. Not saying those are bad though. Free play mode is a ton of fun and the challenge maps are great. Perhaps the most interesting of these is the one where you aren't allowed to control the terrain but rather have to birth certain creatures using only the global warming and global cooling power-ups. What's a shame here though is that there are only a handful of challenge maps and most of them are incredibly easy. Once you're done with those, the only thing you have left to do is complete your encyclopedia in free play mode and get the game's true ending.
To be honest, for a game that allows you to play God, Happy Birthdays is a little bit light with content. I wish there were more challenge maps especially. I think it'd be cool to have some that only allow you to build at a certain terrain level, or only allow you to have 5% of the map be water, or other ridiculous things such as that. The sky's the limit here, and at the very least I hope they add some as DLC. If free play just isn't your thing, you're likely looking at 10 to 12 hours of playtime, which isn't bad especially considering the budget price point here, though I think more would be great.
Happy Birthdays for the Nintendo Switch is definitely a good game, and it's a load of fun for the first few hours that you're playing at the very least. But with the issues present here and the fact that it's very light on content, with just a few minor tweaks and adding extra challenge maps and whatnot, it could have gone from being a good game to being a genre-defining game.
If God Sims are your thing, I think picking up this title is a no-brainer, despite the issues noted and the complexity of the controls, which honestly might be expected as this is a God Sim that's not only on a console, but a portable console. I think that you should definitely give it a try. However, if God Sims aren't necessarily your thing or you just aren't sold on it, there is a free demo on the Nintendo Switch eShop. I'll say it right now, this game is definitely not for everyone. But if it looks at least a little bit appealing to you, definitely try the free demo, and if you like what you see, go out and buy the game. But I may be beginning to ramble on just a bit. I'd like to thank Bolt for coming along for today's review, as this just would not have been possible without him.
Hey, thanks as always for having me, and a special thank you to NIS America for sending us both a Switch review copy of Happy Birthdays. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more entertaining and in-depth game reviews of all sorts of games, both classic and modern, check out my channel The Golden Bolt for just that. Lately, I've been on a bit of a PlayStation kick, so I've been tackling the entire Sly Cooper franchise, as you can see behind me. So if that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe to The Golden Bolt?
And of course, thank you very much for watching. Will you be picking up Happy Birthdays for the Nintendo Switch? What are your favorite God Sims? Let me know down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this. Or if you want to go the extra mile, why not support us on Patreon? Because every dollar earned from Patreon goes back into the channel itself. But anyways, with that, thank you very much for watching. Stay classy, and I'll see you next time.